You want to meet a celebrity? Well, meet a car that's already internet famous. This is the Yangwang U8, and it's part of the BYD group, but sort of not as we know it. Yangwang at the moment is only sold in the Chinese market, and it's BYD's super luxury brand. So this U8 goes up against stuff like the Range Rover, like the Mercedes G-Class, even maybe the Hummer. It is an absolutely enormous 4x4 that clearly takes some styling inspiration from the likes of the Land Rover Defender and some other cars along the way, and is absolutely huge. This is actually longer than a Land Rover Defender 130, which is the biggest one. Underneath here is an electric powertrain. There's 4 electric motors, one for each wheel. But it's not purely electric because there's also a 2-litre engine on board, which is a range extender. It doesn't drive the car directly, but it does keep the battery topped up and gives it a range on a full tank of fuel and a full charge of the batteries of well over 1,000 kilometres. Well, you probably won't get that though, because it's got 1,200 horsepower and 1,200 odd newton meters of torque. And theoretically, even though it weighs 3.6 tons, it'll accelerate to 100 kilometres an hour in just 3.6 seconds. It's just an astonishing piece of engineering. I mean, it's completely stupid. You won't be able to drive one, even if they ever do bring it to Ireland, which is deeply unlikely. You won't be able to drive one without having a HGV license, because it's over 3.5 tons even before you've sat in it. It does have some remarkable capabilities, though, quite apart from the speed, because it's got a motor for each individual wheel. Each individual wheel can be turned, and each individual wheel can be turned forwards or backwards, meaning it can tank turn 360 degrees on the spot. It's also got a fully sealed underbody, so if you drive into floodwater or a small lake, it'll float for around about 30 minutes. And because the electric motors are waterproof, they'll keep running. So it'll actually paddle the wheels and keep you moving a little bit, even when you're in deep standing water. I mean, it's kind of ludicrous and also kind of cool at the same time. And we're going to take it out here in a few minutes on this test track. This incredibly tight and tiny test track for a car that's the size of a medium building, and have a go on it. So I guess let's go see what it's like. Right, we're heading out on track in the massive U8. It does feel absolutely huge from in here, I have to say. The interior is a bit odd. Lots of very, very orange leather. Oh, and seat bolsters that squeeze you from the side as you go around corners to try and hold you better in place. Right, let's see what it's like. Well, it doesn't feel that quick, I have to say. I mean, it's picking up pace quite nicely, but there's a dog on the track. There is actually a dog right in the middle of the track. I can see him now. And thankfully he's moving out of the way. Poor little guy. Right, we can carry on. Doesn't feel spectacularly quick, I have to say. Maybe it's not giving its all for some reason. But it feels brisk for a big machine, and actually turns in okay. Steers all right. Steering feels nicely weighted. Plenty of grip and traction. I mean, obviously it understeers because we're on a racetrack and it's a big, softly sprung 4x4. It actually does have incredibly clever suspension, this. I'm just going around very tight left-hander at the moment, by the way, which, like an old Citroen DS, will allow you to drive with one tyre flat. It'll just literally hold that wheel up out of the way and balance the car on the other 3 tyres. In fact, you can actually take one of the wheels off and still drive this car. It is quite possibly one of the best apocalypse cars of all time in that respect. It'll just apparently take all kinds of punishment, climb sand dunes, do all that sort of stuff. I mean, what we're doing now, a bit like we did with the other car, the Fengshan Bao, it's not what it wants to do, but actually, do you know what? It's not terrible. It's kind of doing okay. I don't think it's got all the performance it should have. Maybe it's just not in the right driving mode, or maybe I just need to push. Oh, there goes the petrol engine, kicking in to help. No, it's not. It's not crazy fast in any sense, but I mean, it's certainly quick. It's just, like I said, not what you'd expect of a car with 1,200 horsepower. Then again, it does, well, as I say, weigh 3.6 tons, so that 1,200 horsepower is being quite well smothered, I think. You can see it being an incredibly comfortable long-haul device, though, with that trick suspension soothing out the worst of the bumps, and these big, comfortable chairs not squeezing you as you go around corners, but instead just kind of easing off and letting you sit in regal comfort as if on a throne. I mean, I seriously don't think it'll sell in Ireland. I don't think they'll bother bringing any in because, like I said, you do need a HGV license to drive it. The only reason I'm getting away with driving it today is because we are on a private test track. If I was out on the road, I would be extremely illegal right now. And that would be a problem for a great many buyers. Not that there would be a great many buyers. I mean, it would be at least €250,000, this car, probably a lot more once VRT has been applied. It certainly is, though, something of an engineering totem pole for the whole BYD group. This is the kind of remarkable thing they are capable of making. And bearing in mind, this is a car company that only made its first car in 2005. BYD and its Yangwang brand have come an awful long way in that time. And this thing, while being a bit daft and a bit crazy, is certainly proof of that.